Hey guys, Twelve58 here. Today I want to get into another frequently asked questions video, which means I'm going to answer 3 different comments from 3 different videos. If you want your question answered, I encourage you to drop them on every single video, including this one. I go through the comment section regularly, and if I turn that comment into content, I would love to say thank you, so make sure you include your IGN. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Twelve58. You can call me 12. Look at this. Appreciate you, KGM. Sub for 3 weeks, appreciate that. I think KGM does content too. I heard Bronze Dragon, I think, talking about you or somebody recently. Let's see. Oh, this is a video on my first look at Immortal Creed, which I've been enjoying, guys. Check out Immortal Creed. Relatively cheap, like $4. If you spend $4, you get in credits. That's their credit, their cheap token. Let me quickly show you. You buy credits. Come in here and buy credits, and then you credits, and if you spend $4 in credits, and you can buy 2 packs with that, and when you buy those credits, you are like able to earn with the game. It's that simple. Like, so yes, you do need cards to get good up in higher levels and to win more often, and winning more often will pay you more credit, or valor they call it. But if you want to try this, $4, you can try it for free actually, but if you want to try it and have some opportunity to earn, you just need to spend $4. I'm enjoying it, and I'll talk more about it in the future, but let's go back to the comment. More and more games are going to start coming out. Going to have to choose which ones to keep and which ones to stay away from. Videos from tubers like you can help me make that decision and save me a lot of time and money. Thanks. Oh man, that's great. I really appreciate that encouragement. That's how I take that. So first and foremost, I agree. Like there is absolutely going to be a explosion of new blockchain-based video games where you're going to be able to earn for your time and attention. That to me feels like 100% guarantee. I don't think that's speculation. I don't think that's a guess. I think that's just promised. And I say that because I actually think what blockchain brings to video games is a revolutionary sort of new angle. The idea that you can earn rewards for your time and attention, and the game can benefit from incentivizing you to be there to play it. It's obviously attractive. Like, the game developer doesn't even have to sort of pay any sort of extra cost even. They already run the game. All they need to do is essentially, and create some sort of tokenomics on the back end. And, frankly, it's not more complicated, or it doesn't need to be more complicated than the way, your favorite game tracks your rank performance. If you're playing Diablo, it can track your performance. If you're playing StarCraft, it can track your performance. Overwatch, wherever there's rank position in any game at all, it can award a certain performance-based token with that. And that token can be on a blockchain, and that token can carry a certain value. If the game honors that token and allows in-game purchases for it and with it, you start to see, and if there's ownership for those assets that can be bought, like the skins and the characters or the heroes or even maps or whatever, you really begin to recognize that the players are incentivized to play your game. So great, if your game is awesome and entertaining, perfect. But slap on a tokenization model where I can also earn and have fun and rewarding is revolutionary. That's so different. It's absolutely brand new. Well, over the last 5 years, brand new. And I think he's right that this is like just getting started, and there's more and more definitely going to come out. And he's also right that you can't have everything. I even say that about Splinterlands, and you guys know, if you're in Splinterlands, you cannot have everything you want. I can't, you can't, no one can. Even those who have a regional land, they're not going to be able to self-sustain, because when we have 50 plots of land, 50 different resources within land, you're going to find it's too complicated to be able to do all things for yourself. This can be overwhelming. It can in some sense be discouraging, because people feel, I can't do it all, it's too much, I can't track it. And then they say, well, if I can't do it all, I don't want to do any of it, it's too overwhelming. And I get that. But I want to encourage you that he's right. Whether it's my channel or whether it's Bronze Dragon, or I think KGM, I actually haven't seen his content. Who else am I watching lately? After Sound's covering it every single day. You got some of the bigger ones. Bulldog, who else? Who do I watch? Tails, Gank, Keys, You know, there's a lot of great content creators. Single player gamer is a new content creator I've been enjoying lately. And so he's right. You just got to find the ones you enjoy and follow along with their journey, because they're going to give you certain looks at different things, and that might spark something for you. It doesn't mean you should chase or like ape it on something that we like, but you're going to see through our eyes what we like, and then you can decide for yourself. Often it can be relatively inexpensive to try things, or maybe even free. Like with Splinter Forge, practically free. Immortal Creed, practically free. Golem, Overlord, not free, about 20 bucks to start. But these things, just if you're into them, if you see some value in the gameplay mechanic, it's like that this is an exciting moment, because things are just starting and it's going to be blowing up in my mind over the next 10 years, in my opinion. And I do believe the number of games will grow. That is factual. That's just a promise. And I do believe the adoption will grow, but that is speculation. That's my opinion, and I guess take that part with a grain of salt. Thanks for enjoying the content, KGM. Hope you have an awesome day. Let's carry on. Hey, Immortal Creed, the game, dropped a comment. I don't usually be 2-on-1, but let's see what they said. Great video. Glad to have you join us. As developers, it's great to see videos like this, as it gives us firsthand look at how newer players react to the game. Its interfaces, how intuitive mechanics are, etc. Hope to see more from you in the future. Absolutely, we definitely will. I'm enjoying it. I'm playing every day. And I guess I'll say also, this is not paid. This video, or my investment in it, or my time attending to it, has not been sort of compensated or encouraged, or I've received no compensation. I'm just enjoying the game. Kuryu, could you release your videos in Portuguese? There are ways to have the videos titled. I don't know how to do that. I wish I did, to be honest. I know I could pay somebody, but of course the revenue from the channel, I gotta be honest, is not significant. So, I do this as a hobby. I can't. There are certain costs I pay to carry certain software in order to make this possible. But I wouldn't be able to, I guess, incur cost. If somebody in the comment section can drop a comment showing a way for that sort of technology to happen, I would love to be able to do that, especially for the coming bull market. I'd love for not just myself, but all the content creators that enjoy this game and this space to be able to reach broader audiences and provide value to other non-English speaking people. So if somebody knows, let me know. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't. JPH, good to see you. Mitch, good to see you. There's some good comments on this one from Immortal Creed, including Bronze Dragon and Supreme Victory, but I want to get a different video. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at Apollo's comment here. Apollo on this video, which is about how land is going to, grain producing land within Splinterlands is going to be a fraction of all land. And I think grain is going to be deeply important. Therefore, there will come a time when our glut of resources, grain, ends up being drained, spent, exhausted. And at that moment, you'll start to see there'll be a greater premium. Maybe there already is, for bogs, rivers, lakes, and plains. Those are the 4 types of land that should be able to produce grain. And let's see what Apollo says. This is why lifting the grain tax will help, as I cannot get enough grain producing plots in the same region. Some regions do not even have many grain producing regions. I'm glad I read this comment, because I'm not sure I agree, and there's some room for conversation around it. So Apollo is saying it's going to be hard to support ourselves with the amount of grain we need. And he's right. And that's why we recorded that video. And I do think there's a unique opportunity maybe within respect to those specific grain, either by stacking grain right now, or by buying it when it goes onto the peer-to-peer market and just holding it, or by owning the plots of land that can produce it, because it's going to be really needed. But you make the point, I can't find them at all. Like, some regions don't have them. And I go, okay, but that's part of the game within the game, like knowing which regions are going to be the ones that have access to that. And across a region, which is 1,000 plots, I have a real hard time believing that there's not 20 plots that can produce grain for you, right? I don't know how big you are in the game, Apollo, but I've just bought 15 plots of land that create grain. And that will keep me self-sustaining for a long time to come. So I guess what I'm saying is, I think maybe it's not quite as difficult as you're implying to actually track down those grain producing region plots within your region. First point. Second point, one of the things we don't talk about in this video, and I'd like to mention right now, is that while it's true that there is going to be a deep need for grain, and the grain that exists will be used, and then we'll get to a place where grain probably pumps in price and the plots of land that produce grain will pump in price. I think all that's true, but I also want to say that we're going to get to a place where grain turns into food. You can process it in a certain way that makes food, and that will be more satisfying is the word I'm going to use. I don't know, there's probably another better word to use in that context, but the grain is going to feed your monsters, and it's going to take a lot of grain. But then if you have food, it's not going to take much food. It's going to take far less. I don't know what the numbers will be, but it's like this formula where the food is more powerful, more satisfying, more useful. It'll probably have a higher cost too, but it's conceivable that will change the dynamic of how grain works within the system, how desirable it is, and maybe even it'll undermine some of my theory around, act now or pay later with respect to grain. It's hard to say. There's so many moving parts with land. That's kind of the exciting thing we're in right now. It's this diverse moment where there's a lot of different angles that we need to look at and think through. And I don't necessarily know the answers. I'm kind of thinking out loud with you even now. I see what you're saying, and I do think they are talking about that, right? They're talking about lifting the grain tax. They said that in the last town hall. I don't personally want them to lift the grain tax. I think more taxes is better from a perspective of, I don't mean taxes exactly from the castle or the keep. I do wish that would maybe get changed somehow, but I also appreciate that because I want the castle and keep owners to be incentivized to buy those. I want there to be great value in that because I think it trickles down to my plots, which are not keeps or castles. So I guess I'm saying I'm not opposed to fees. I do believe you could find answers if you really keep looking. And then thirdly, I think there's going to be other alternatives beyond grain that can help satisfy your troops, namely food. But that's getting into land 2.0 and beyond. So great comment though. Thank you for that. Let's carry on. Wow, you guys had a lot of comments on that one. You know what? This is the same video, but it's such a different comment. He's talking about Rooney. I want to get into it. Bitcoin Sig, good to see you. Same video talking about land, grain, etc. And Bitcoin Sig pops in. He says, I think the thing you are maybe sleeping on is Rooney, especially when it comes to magical and occupied plots. Rooney can sometimes be way more effective on one magical land where you are going to put down an extra, do an extra 200% on your PP. How many extra lands, extra monsters, and locked up DC do you have to do instead of just one plot? For example, I'm glad you're getting into numbers. Let's see this. For example, a single max level gold foil Chaos Legion is putting down 34,000. Really, is that all? PP, okay. And then on a Rooney magical plot with a common totem, okay. The cost of a max gold foil is about $170 to $200. The Rooney is about $550. Totem is about $20. In order to equal the same PP on a single gold foil, as a single gold foil plus Rooney, it would take 4 plots maxed out with regular foil legendaries. Interesting. If the cost of the plots is $50, which is pretty reasonable, pretty accurate, I suppose. Let's see what. And $50 in cards per plot, yeah. And $50 with the DC, yeah. I'm following you and you're making sense. $600 over 4 plots, yes. So he's saying it's cheaper to have a basic Rooney and one gold foil legendary, which is not cheap, but like I've been pointing to recently, Chaos Legion legendaries gold foils are interesting. They're attractive. The price points are reasonable, and they're great cards too, and they give you those bonuses, etc. Plus, he's saying on land you get really, yeah. I mean, you make your argument makes sense. I guess the difference is if I buy, it's almost buying the 4 plots of land and then operating them at a far lower efficiency is an easier hurdle to overcome. I'm not saying you're wrong. In fact, you are objectively right. your one plot of land, which would be really not, in fact, like cost effectively, you're saying 550 bucks with the totem. And you're right, the common totem is about 20 bucks for now. All of his math is right. It's cheaper to operate one kick-ass plot of land. And it's not even a kick-ass plot of land, it's just a normal plot of land. Well, is it magical? Well, you're talking about magical plot. Are magical plots 50 bucks? I want to verify this before I go any further, because that's the one piece of information I'm not actually certain about. So we're going to magical. Look at that, 78 bucks. So I think we'd have to times, there'd be another 80 bucks on your argument. Either for, if you buy 4 plots, I think it's more expensive than you're saying. So in fact, the math should be better than what you're saying. Because if you buy 4 at not 50 bucks, but at 80 bucks each, you're adding another $80 to the price point. So it should be about $680 to operate 4 different magic commons. Were those commons? Yeah, magic commons, 80, 80, 80, 80 right there. And they're not even in the same tractor region. So you'd have to think through food concerns, which you don't mention in your comments. So I think Bitcoin Sig is right. If you want a fingerprint on land, it makes a lot of sense to think through Rooney. First of all, like even Rooney's an amazing card. The data on Rooney is really good. Let me pull it up. I suppose not everybody owns one. I mean, you definitely don't. And it is very good. Look at that. 500 win record. That's a lot of games, by the way. 123 over 120. It's not one of my most played games. We're talking Dr. Blight. It's like, 10 times the games. But still, it's a strong card. And it's got that scarcity and, that unique, every one of them is different, and super powerful land usefulness, utility. So I get your point. I guess all I'm saying is the easier way, or the smaller hurdles, you're talking about jumping a $600 hurdle, right? To get that up and going. I'm talking about spending more, but doing it slower. If you did 4 different plots, one, you could be theoretically self-sustainable because you could get 2 of them that produce grain and 2 of them that produce magic, or whatever you want, SPS if you're interested in that. And so my way would be cheaper to start with, because you could buy the 4 plots of land. You could start them off with just basic cards and just get them rolling. Now, you're not going to see much reward, but do you see my point? It's like my way, you can trickle into it. Your way, you're talking about buying 4 gold foil legendaries like now while they're at these prices. You wouldn't want to buy one of those and wait, buy one and then wait. You're not going to DCA into those because those prices aren't going to get any better. I say that with confidence because Chaos Legion cards are going to be burned during the next burn event, which we have been told probably is going to happen in the next few months. So for all those reasons, I just really think your way is great, but there's that significant startup cost, whereas doing 4 plots of land or even more relatively ineffectively can be this starter kit that people grow into. Your way is like diving in the deep end, and some people want to wade into the kiddie pool. But thanks for the comment, Bitcoin Sig. And I'm actually going to leave it there. We did 3 comments from 2 different videos today. But thank you guys so much for your time and attention. I hope you're having an amazing day. God bless.